I'm working on the dough for the pie, so for the pie crust. We used to just use regular wheat, but we have found that some people can handle einkorn wheat way better than conventional wheat. So this is wheat that has not been hybridized, and it's just a lot easier on the gut. And you still get really nice results that you would get from wheat. So we're kind of mixing our traditional recipe with a recipe that I have from a cookbook that's by the people who actually produce the einkorn, which is nice. So we add a couple of teaspoons of sugar just because why not? Makes it a little sweet and still isn't enough to make the crust burn, which is a concern if you have too much sugar. So we have about 2.5 cups of flour. So it works out to be about 300 grams. And then 3/4 of a teaspoon of sea salt. Usually we use 16 tablespoons of butter. This time we're gonna use a little bit less, and we're gonna stick with 12 tablespoons of butter, and then about 1/4 cup of cold water. So we will, we'll see how that goes and make any little adjustments, I suppose, if we need to, but I think that should turn out pretty good. So I've got the salt, sugar, and flour in this bowl already, and then I'm gonna weigh out the yummy cold butter. And I've got my handy dandy little pastry cutter, which is really quite awesome. I know people have different methods for doing pie crust, but I think this is really nice. You get, in my opinion, you get a little bit more of feedback versus using a food processor. I think the crust can get maybe a little gooier faster with the food processor, so I like to just go ahead and use the pastry cutter. But yeah, we'll get started cutting up the butter.
So the butter has been added, and
butter is being added to my stomach.
And Petra is cutting it in with the pastry knife until it's kind of, what's it supposed to be, kind of like
It's mealy.
mealy.
Yeah. So like this, that's too big, but that's a better size of piece of butter.
If you're an engineer, you want it to be the consistency of coarse grain 3/4 inch aggregate.
There you go. This is enough for the double crust, so we will, after it's all mixed up, we'll divide it in half in 2 packs and use plastic wrap, and then stick it in the fridge and let it rest and chill. So the dough has chilled, and then we let it sit out a while because it was chilling for while we had lunch, and it got a little too firm, I guess. I am trying to flatten it out just a little bit to help prevent it splitting too much, because I usually end up having it that when I roll it out, it starts to fan and split apart, and of course that's not the best thing. But so we will use a little bit of flour on the counter and on the rolling pin, and I will get out my trusty little scraper, because inevitably it sticks to the counter. So
You are a very messy worker.
is it messy? It is messy, you're right.
Yeah, I did this once with a blueberry pie, and it's kind of hard.
Yeah, And was it super messy?
It gets very difficult. It's very difficult to do it. And Mommy made a beautiful lattice on it. That was on my birthday.
Yeah, you requested the lattice, huh?
On this one, we're gonna do a top crust with slits and fluted edges. So the round needs to be about an inch or so larger than the pan top so that it can drop down into the pan and then still have some room for fluting.
Yes. You can't have tomatoes.
I can't have lots of things. I probably shouldn't have pie crust, but I make an exception every once in a while.
But the einkorn just makes you a little bit congested. It doesn't give you...
And sicknesses. You're
Major
doing it
issues.
just because.
It doesn't mess up my intestinal fortitude.
And for a video, it's in real life. It takes a lot longer to get back to the video. But in the video,
Can you back up, guys?
it's really easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Handy dandy scraper.
Handy dandy scraper. And then... handy dandy
Pull a party.
rolling it over.
Handy dandy pull a party.
I think we probably have enough.
Much more than needed.
But also
You could
we'll
just
have
take those
the...
off.
I think that'll be okay. And we have the upper
Where you
crust
push
too,
on the
but
middle,
that's...
the upper region.
And then while Petra works on the upper crust rolling out, I will do the cream for the filling.
Oh, that sounds good.
So I've gotten started on the top crust, and this can hang out until we get it all filled. But so again, we just want it bigger than the pan. The pie usually ends up, the apples mound up a fair bit, so we want space for it to be able to cover all of that, and then hang over so that we can tuck the crusts under and make the crimped edge.
Yes. Pie looks so good.
All right, so we need a 1/4 cup of whipping cream. We don't handle regular cow's milk dairy great in this house, so we have goat milk, and this is sort of, we collect the fat. We get goat milk containers and we strain it when we have goat milk for cookies or just to have goat milk, and then we strain out the fat. So effectively this is goat milk cream. We need a 1/4 cup of the goat milk cream, which I'm just stirring up a bit here since it was in the fridge. And then we're gonna mix with the 1/4 cup. I've got 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 2 tablespoons of flour that gets mixed together to make sort of a cream that goes over the top of the filling. And then as it heats up, that cream melts and goes over the filling that we've created, thus enhancing the flavor.
So you're gonna put the filling in?
So this is the consistency of the flour, whipping cream solution, and this just kind of drips over the top of the filling. We'll show that when we assemble it. Then I also have butter here because we need more butter.
Yeah, that's essential.
About 2 tablespoons of butter gets put on top of the filling too, so again it will melt and run down. Then the top crust goes on, and then you brush a little bit of milk on the top crust and sprinkle this bit of sugar that I have here on the top. And then it's ready to go in the oven. Almost. I gotta put a special guard around the outside. I am making a guard for the flutes on the pie crust. So this goes in, when we put the pie crust in, we'll put this guard on, and we bake it at 350 for an hour. So for the last 15 minutes or so, we'll pull the crust, or this guard, off and let the fluting brown a little bit. So that's the secret to not getting a toasted
Burnt fluting.
flute edge. But the trick here is you gotta make the little cover, and then you gotta cut out the middle so that the
rest of the pie browns.
brown. So I usually do that, and then
Oh, so you're sticking it on top of there?
After the pie is all assembled.
Oh, Daddy, not that close.
it doesn't have to look that pretty.
Are you worried about Daddy's fingers? Yeah, it's good to be careful, huh?
It doesn't have to look pretty. It just has to taste good.
It is
Well,
nice
this will
if it
make
looks good.
this will make the pie look pretty. I meant the
It doesn't have to.
Circle cut.
It doesn't have to look
cut
pretty.
guard
It
doesn't
just
have
has
to
to
look
work.
pretty.
It just has to work. It just has.
It just have to works.
Okay, we'll set this aside until we're done.
Ready?
All right, so the first thing we're going to do is load up the crust with some of the plainer apples. These actually have a little bit more of the bourbon flavor in them because it didn't cook all off.
Mommy, your crust looks the best, and the apples look the best.
They look
Mommy,
amazing.
good job for the crust, and
we might
Daddy,
put
good
some
job
more-
for the filling.
Thank you. You might put some more in there. But
Oh my goodness, it smells like applesauce. Probably because it's the same thing as.
it basically is applesauce.
Nice, yummy.
Yeah, applesauce with bourbon mixed in.
Bourbon
a
applesauce.
spoon, or is that big enough?
This'll
I
work.
guess it'll.
That's
in there well.
brown.
We put everything.
It looks gross when you see it far away, but then when you zoom in, it looks really good.
We put everything on this.
It also helps when you smell it.
It does smell really
If you just have your sight, it looks kind of weird and gross. But
can't get
if
a
you,
good view.
but as soon as you smell it, it looks good as well.
We put everything on this baking sheet too, because as it's baking, it does have a tendency to want to
It smells like
bubble
applesauce.
over.
Yeah,
It
it
will
does
be
want
so
to
yummy.
escape.
So
The juices want to escape.
Do you do that?
And we want
and another
maximum
layer,
juices.
Layer of that.
Yes, so we'll get all of this good syrupy apple in there, and then we'll load it up with the rest of the other apple as much as possible.
And then we'll put cream and butter on top of it.
And it was Corbin?
Yeah, butter in the apple, butter in the crust, random butter on top.
I always think of that one episode of The Simpsons where he had the death by eclair.
Well, really, if you're
Why?
gonna have pie, just have pie. Have it be rich and awesome.
Yes.
I like it how you did the pie contest with one.
Wasn't that a bomb though?
That you guys have succeeded.
Or was that a different one? Where there was
Is
the
that
eclair bomb.
The eclair bomb.
as much as you guys want
Yeah, you gotta make it.
Well, this
Slightly
side is
mounted.
really full and that side is not.
Yeah.
You have
So
the
you can-
choice.
Lopsided.
I haven't gotten done yet.
Oh, well, you were asking. You were asking.
Well, I just meant I was asking how much we think we want to do.
I don't know.
I think just all
I think
of
we
it.
have a lot of crust.
I think you might be able to fit it all in there.
No.
I like that.
It's only mounted like this much above, in the middle. It's only slightly mounted above the pie
good.
crust.
Maybe another scoop. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and do it in the middle more so it'll.
I think you could fit all of it in.
Well, I want some more excess bourbon.
Okay, I'll leave a little bit of bourbon apples. Butter goes on first, and then the whipping cream mixture goes on.
So the butter is just dotted on,
Correct.
right?
Yeah, we just
Okay.
dot the butter.
Dot the butter.
And then when you cook it, it all
So
melts.
there's only
and
5
it's yummy.
tablespoons of butter in the mixture to start out with. And then, of course, there's
Only
4 tablespoons of butter in the pie crust.
in the pie crust.
Yeah.
12.
12 tablespoons of butter in the pie crust. And then 2 more tablespoons of butter on the top. And then
Butter
a
makes it
quarter cup of heavy whipping cream.
Thank you for covering.
And then, of course,
I do not want to sneeze on it.
bourbon and at least a cup of sugar. So it's definitely low fat dessert, low sugar.
Make it any day.
Low fat and low sugar.
Make it.
Yay!
Okay, and then we take the cream and we apply the whipping cream.
Make sure you read the fine print on this one. It is not low fat and low sugar.
It is
Now, this is
high
not,
sugar and high fat.
if you're engaged in an exercise program or other weight loss activities, this is not the pie for you.
Yes.
Unless it's a cheat day.
But we haven't made this pie in years, so.
No.
Yeah, so you forget some of the ingredients. Probably. Maybe your mind has changed since you forgot about it.
Oh, well, that's.
And
why
of
I
course,
did
if
the
you
right
want,
things.
you can substitute the milk and stuff for cow milk or the einkorn for just conventional wheat.
Yeah.
We just like to use these because they sit better with our tummies.
Yes.
All
There's
right.
nothing good about using
Here's our
them, and there's
buttercream
nothing
mixture.
there's nothing bad about using conventional wheat.
Guys, it's Daddy's turn.
Buttercream mixture, and then we'll have a little bit more sugar on top.
So now we're gonna put the top crust on.
That should be enough, right?
Yeah.
Down.
There we go.
Into the pot.
Just sprinkle, sprinkle. It's a fine art.
Fine art with fine sugar.
So you just get the slightest amount of sugary crunch. When you get that top.
What is that?
Just make a
Tiny pie?
tiny biscuit.
And we put our
Flute cover.
Flute cover, flute cover, flute cover, flute cover.
Just
here, all
wait.
these shorter ones right here.
Oh yeah, that looks nice.
It's like a glowy star.
It's a glowy apple.
That look good? All right.
Yeah?
So ready?
It's ready.
It looks more like a heart. We can't do Obi-Wan. When we're done with Obi-Wan, we can't eat it.
Beautiful.
how long does it have to cook?
So put it in for, I guess, 45 minutes. And then
Okay, and then we'll check on it.
well, there's the final pie. We're gonna cut it up and eat some of it tonight. All right, well, we're about to dig into our apple pie. We didn't really, weren't really patient, and we just dug into it. I think if you let it sit for a little while longer, it's easier to pile out, but it will taste all the same.
Yeah, it's still pretty warm, so it's kind of soft.
All right,
To stab my pie.
you may eat.